You're 30. You don't feel 30. You just feel aware. Aware that early 20s isn't your category anymore. Aware that people younger than you are now your managers. Aware that the phrase, "I still have time," doesn't hit the same. You lived with your parents until 26. Not because you wanted to. Because rent was expensive. Because you were saving. Because it made financial sense. You told yourself it was temporary. 2 years turned into 4. You slept in the same bedroom you had in high school. Same posters. Same dent in the wall from when you threw a basketball at it at 15. Your mom still knocked before entering. Your dad still asked what your plan was during dinner. Not aggressively, just consistently. So what's next? You hated that question because you didn't have an answer. You had ideas, but no execution. At 27, you finally moved out. 1-bedroom apartment. No balcony. Thin walls. You signed the lease feeling like you'd accomplished something major. You bought IKEA furniture. A mattress that arrived in a vacuum-sealed roll. A cheap desk you swore you'd build your future at. The first night alone felt powerful. Independence. Silence. Control. You ordered takeout and sat on the floor because the couch hadn't arrived yet. You told yourself, this is the start. You were in a relationship then. 2 years. Stable. Predictable. You both talked about figuring it out. But neither of you were moving. One night she asked you directly, "What are we building?" You gave a vague answer about growth and opportunity. She didn't push, but she pulled back. 6 months later, she ended it. Not dramatic, not explosive. Just tired. "I need someone with direction," she said. That sentence replayed in your head for months. Not someone with money, not someone successful, someone with direction. You didn't have it. You went hard for a month after that. Gym every day. Early mornings. Cold showers. You listened to discipline podcasts. You deleted social media. You bought a whiteboard and wrote goals. You lasted 19 days. Then work got busy. You skipped one morning, then 2. Then it faded. The whiteboard stayed up for a year. Unchanged. At 28, your friend invited you to join his startup. Low salary. High upside. You almost said yes. You pictured risk. Failure. Moving back home. You declined. He left his job. Struggled for a year. Now his company just closed a funding round. You pretend you're happy for him. You are. But you also feel the sting. Not because he won. Because you didn't try. At 29, your younger cousin bought a house. You went to the housewarming party. You brought a bottle of wine. You stood in his kitchen listening to him explain mortgage rates and equity like he'd been doing this for years. You smiled. You nodded. You left early. That night you checked your bank account 3 times. You weren't broke, but you weren't ahead either. You were maintaining. Maintenance is comfortable. Maintenance is invisible. Maintenance doesn't change trajectory. Now you're 30. You wake up in your apartment at 6:58 a.m. Alarm at 7 o'clock. You're already awake. Not because you're disciplined. Because your brain runs before your body does. You brush your teeth. Look in the mirror. You don't see failure. You see unused capacity. That's worse. Your job pays $68,000 now. Promotion last year. Small raise. More responsibility. Same feeling. You manage people now. You sit in meetings about efficiency. You say things like circle back and optimize workflow. You're good at it, which scares you, because being good at something you don't love makes it harder to leave. Golden handcuffs without the gold. You calculate your future one night. If you stay, steady raises. Predictable retirement. Maybe management. If you leave, risk. Skill building. Uncertainty. The safe path looks smooth. The growth path looks violent. You've chosen smooth every time. That's the pattern. Your parents ask less now, not because they stopped caring, because they assume this is your path. That hurts more. They stopped expecting something bigger. You stopped expecting it too. That's the real shift. You try dating again. First dates at casual restaurants. Conversations about careers. When they ask what you're passionate about, you hesitate. You used to have an answer. Now you say, I'm exploring a few things. You're not. You're surviving. One woman asks what your 5-year plan is. You joke. She doesn't. There's no second date. The truth you avoid is simple. You're not behind because of bad luck. You're behind because you never fully committed. You kept options open. You avoided irreversible moves. You chose comfort disguised as logic. You told yourself you were waiting for clarity. Clarity doesn't arrive. Commitment creates clarity. One random Tuesday night, you sit in your apartment. No music, no scrolling. Just silence. You look at your desk. The one you bought at 27. You've never built anything meaningful there. You run numbers. If you wake up at 5:30 a.m., that's 90 extra minutes. If you cut social media, that's 10 extra hours a week. If you commit for 2 years, not 2 weeks, that's transformation. You've just never done 2 years. You've done bursts, not commitment. You open your laptop. You choose one direction, not 5. 1. You write down a plan. Simple, brutal, non-negotiable. You treat it like rent, like a bill, not optional. The first month is embarrassing. You're bad, slow, inconsistent. You want to quit. You feel stupid starting at 30. You imagine 22-year-olds ahead of you. You keep going. Not because you feel motivated, because you're tired of being average by choice. That's new. 6 months in, something shifts. Small wins. Tiny momentum. Confidence earned, not imagined. Your posture changes slightly. You speak differently, not louder, clearer. You stop explaining yourself. You stop justifying your timeline. You're not trying to catch up anymore. You're building forward. You run into your ex one day. Accidentally. Coffee shop. She asks how you've been. You don't overcompensate. You don't perform. You simply say, focused. And this time it's true. Not because you've made it, because you've decided. Direction. That was the missing piece. At 30, starting late isn't tragic. It's honest. You know your weaknesses now. You know your distractions. You know your patterns. That awareness is leverage. If you use it, most people don't. They just age. You decide not to. You're still not where you want to be. But now you're moving. Not scrolling, not fantasizing, not postponing. Moving. That's the difference. Starting late isn't the problem. Staying stuck is. Next week we'll talk about something worse than starting late. Realizing you chose the wrong life.